everyone, I'm a bookkeeper by profession and I love using Excel and Google Sheets to make my job and my personal life easier and more organized. I specifically look for ways to make spreadsheets that are simple, intuitive, and automated by using complex formulas and scripts or macros. My goal is for the spreadsheet to do the hard work for you so that you can focus on what matters, making important decisions based on the data available. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use my automated budget spreadsheet, which took me about 4 months to build. I started making this spreadsheet because I really needed a way to organize my finances so that I would stop forgetting about upcoming expenses that would wipe out my bank account. But the solutions I was finding online either required a monthly subscription or they required too much data entry and work on my part, which I don't have the patience for. So I set out to make my own, which was certainly more labor intensive in the short term, but in the long term, I finally have a product that is really working for me, helping me feel confident about my finances, helping me save more money, and I think I'll be able to use it for the rest of my life if I want to. You can purchase the template for this automated budget spreadsheet on my Etsy link in the description. If you would like to see a tutorial on how to build this spreadsheet, leave a comment. Let's get started. Start in the Start Here tab. Enter your categories to organize your transactions. These can be as specific or as general as you want them to be. If you decide you want to change the name of a category or add more, you can always do that later. Do not edit or delete the categories in rows A2 through A5. Enter your accounts and their balances. I recommend starting at the beginning of a new month. Take your balance from your bank statement and add to that amount any transactions that have posted since then. This will be beneficial for the most accurate monthly spending report on your Reports tab later. Go to the Budget Items tab. The month columns always start at the current month. They shift over like a moving timeline each month. Enter your income. Up to 3 sources of static income that is always the same on a predictable schedule. Dynamic income goes in the white rows. They'll automatically shift over with the month column. No need to move it yourself later. You can unhide rows to use more, or hide rows that you don't use. Do not insert or delete any rows in this section. Enter your estimated variable expenses and consistent monthly expenses. Enter your recurring expenses. If you want the expenses to show up on the calendar view, enter them in the magenta table. If you don't want them on the calendar, enter them on the orange table. You can change the headers above these tables, if you don't want this one to be called AutoShips, for example, but do not change the actual name of the table itself. You can enter recurring transactions for any duration of monthly or weekly frequencies. In the frequency column, choose if the transaction occurs on a weekly or monthly basis. In the duration column, choose how many months and weeks the subscription is for. For example, if your subscription occurs on an annual basis, you will enter monthly 12. If it is a biannual basis, you will enter monthly 6. If it occurs every 7 weeks, you will enter weekly 7. You only need to enter the start date the first time you set up this spreadsheet, and if any changes are ever made to your subscriptions. You don't need to change the date. The calendar view will automatically project upcoming dates of the transaction. The start date that you enter should either be the most recent date that the transaction took place, or it can be the next upcoming date of the transaction. Enter any scheduled bank transfers you have. I recommend setting up your Paychecks on the gray table below, even if it is dynamic income and you don't have to enter an amount. That way, you can at least configure the other settings so they automatically pull over into the transactions table when you log them. You can enter any amount of different paycheck settings you would like to on the gray table, as long as they have different descriptions. Choose your method of budgeting, true versus average. Choose true to see when the scheduled charges will actually hit your accounts. Choose average to know how much you need to set aside each month in order to guarantee you can pay all of your scheduled expenses all year long. This is coming from the average to save per month column, and it's adding together those values from the magenta table and the orange table. Choose your savings method. Allocate all unbudgeted to savings, save a certain amount each month, or use the dynamic rows. Again, these white rows shift over at the start of a new month. Compare your budgeted spending to your actual spending. In order for the actual remaining row to calculate properly, any income that you enter on the Transaction tab needs to be classified as type equals income. View your Calendar tab. The calendar always starts at the current month and shows the next 12 months. It also acts like a real moving timeline. Go to the Transactions tab. View your account balances. See upcoming transactions and your remaining budget amount in each category for the current month. Enter the date and description of a transaction. The table automatically pulls over your settings from the Budget Items tab. Items entered in the gray Scheduled Transfers table on the Budget tab show up at the bottom of the list after all of your other alphabetized categories. When you get your bank statement each month, use the Reconciled checkbox column to reconcile your statements and make sure you haven't missed any transactions. Use the Filter feature at the column headers to view only the data you want to at any time. If you decide you want to change the description or category names later, use the buttons on the Budget tab. These will retroactively update your past transactions so your reporting stays consistent over time. You cannot use these buttons on the mobile version. The first time that you try to use the buttons, you will have to give Google authorization to run the scripts. You will only have to do this the first time. If you try to use the buttons to change a description name or a category and they aren't loading any options in the drop-down menu, two things to try are 1. Clear your cookies, and 2. Make sure you're only signed in to one Google account. If the buttons move on the page, right-click them to move them back to the desired position. Go to the Reports tab. View your 50-30-20 charts. A common financial goal is to spend 50% of your income on things you need, 30% on things you want, and 20% into savings each month. Choose a past month to compare your current month's spending to. If the colors of the chart change, double-click the pie slice and use the eyedropper to select the color you want it to be from the chart's color list. View your monthly spending and use the pivot table to drill down into the expenses that make up each value. You cannot drill down in the mobile version. Make budgeting decisions based on your budget variance tolerance. At the beginning of a new month, the average spending per category column will be lower, and it will get higher as you enter transactions over the month. Change your tolerance level to fit your needs. If you run out of room as the pivot table grows, you can hide columns of older months and insert new columns for the table to grow. The grand total column will still include the amounts from the hidden columns. Thanks so much for watching my instructional video on how to use my automated budget spreadsheet. If you think it could help you finally get on top of your own finances, purchase it at my Etsy link in the description. Like and subscribe to see more spreadsheet ideas, tutorials, and tips and tricks in Excel and Google Sheets. If you would be interested in watching a tutorial on how I made this spreadsheet, let me know in the comments. Or, if you have ideas for a different kind of spreadsheet that you would like to see made, let me know that as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that many of you can find this helpful.